Okay, so rotations. So here's our original triangle again. And then, of course, so that's the preimage. So the original is the preimage. Now we're going to do rotations. So it says rotate the preimage 90 degrees clockwise to make an image. This one says rotate the preimage 90 degrees counterclockwise. And then it says rotate the preimage 180 degrees, make this triangle orange. So I'm gonna flip. So this is gonna eventually get glued in, or this is gonna get glued in. I'm gonna go to the back side of that page, and I'm gonna talk about clockwise. So clockwise. I don't know why we're so crooked this morning, but okay. So clockwise. So clockwise is the same way the hands on a clock move. So if you think about a clock, this would be 12, 3, 6, 9, and then you have your hands on the clock. So if it was 3 o'clock, that's what it would look like. Clockwise means you move this direction. Move to the right. So you can see clockwise means you move that direction, or right. Counterclockwise is the opposite direction. So 12, 3, 6, 9. So then you move opposite direction and you move to the left. So then you would start wherever you're at and turn this direction. The most common ones you see are 90, 180, 270, and 360. So if you think about a 90-degree angle, that's a 90-degree angle. So you would move this much. If you think about 180, that's 2 90s. So you would move that much. 270 is 90 more than 180, so you actually move that much. And then 360 would be moving an entire circle. So 90 is like the corner of a piece of paper, so like that much. 180 is 2 of those, so choof, choof. Sorry for the weird sound effect. And then 270 is you go 90 past that one, and then 360 is the entire circle. Okay, so now that we've talked about all of those degrees, let's go ahead and start on this paper. So, again, I'm going to use patty paper because I think it helps for students to see it originally first on patty paper. Oops. X, Y. Okay, so then I lined that back up. I'm going to mark point A, B, C. And again, I'm going to flip my patty paper over and mark those points so that whenever I'm doing my work, it will put transfer points like that. Okay, so, and I'm going to actually trim this just a little bit so that it doesn't cover over here. Okay, so there's my patty paper. And so I'm going to rotate the preimage 90 degrees clockwise. So if I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, remember 90 degrees is, since it's clockwise, I'm going to always start like that, and I'm going to move 90 degrees clockwise. Okay, and if it doesn't say what you're rotating about, then you're always going to, or it's always going to be about the origin. So whatever the point of rotation is, I'm going to stick my pencil on that point. You could also do your finger. And notice this is the y-axis. When I rotate 90 degrees, I'm going to take that paper, or that the patty paper, and the y-axis is now going to be over here. Notice I went this direction because it was clockwise, so I rotated that way. So A went from there to here, B went from here to here, and C is there. And that one's supposed to be blue, so let me get my blue pen. So this was A prime, this was B prime, and this is C prime. So then A prime is at 3, negative 1. B prime is at 4, negative 3. And C prime is at 1, negative 4. Remember, move along the x-axis and then down. Make sure you check over here to see what number it's at. Okay, so that was 90 degrees clockwise, meaning I moved this direction. I just made that look like it was a 180. So I moved my y-axis to my x-axis. So I moved 90 degrees. Okay, now let's go back to, and it says the preimage. Sometimes it has you do it from, like, you rotate and then you rotate again. But since it says to go back to the preimage, I'm going to go back to the original. And now this time it says counterclockwise. So I know I'm going to have to go this direction, 90 degrees. So again, I'm going to put it back on the original. Put my pen on the point of rotation, so in this case it's still the origin, and I'm going to move 90 degrees. So notice this y-axis went from here to there, and that's a 90-degree turn. Okay, I'm going to mark the points again. So this is A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. Again, if you're not getting the same things I am, stop your video and ask me for help. So A double prime is at negative 3, 1. B double prime is at negative 4, 3. And C double prime is at negative 1, 4. Okay, now let's do the last one. The last one says 180 degrees. Students are always going to ask, well, which direction? Well, if you think about it, if I want to move 180 degrees, that would be 90, this would be 180. Well, look at the other side. If I moved my y-axis to my x-axis, that's 90, and then back down to the y-axis, That's 180. So 180 is half the circle, so it doesn't matter which direction. So you probably want to write that on the back where we were writing those other things. 180 is half the circle. Direction does not matter. So 180 degrees is half the circle, so the direction does not matter. Okay? So then again, set up your X and Y axis in your original, and it still says preimage, so you're going to go back. So I'm going to go 90 degrees, 180 degrees, and I'm going to mark that, and I'm going to actually show you that it doesn't matter the direction. Okay, so it's there, there, and there. Now let's go the other direction to prove it. I'm one of those people that you need to prove something to me. So there was 90, and there's 180. Okay, so this is A triple prime, B triple prime, and C triple prime. Let me make sure. Yep. Okay, so A double prime, or triple prime, is at -1, -3. B triple prime is at -3, -4. And C triple prime is at -4, -1. Okay, now let's look at these rules. So if I rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise, so I'm in quadrant 1 and I move to quadrant 2. Notice what happened. So that's the counterclockwise, so that's this green one. So x, y, 1, 3 became -y, comma, x. So notice the order changed. So these two flipped, and it changed that to a negative. So 1, 3, -3, 1. 3, 4 became -4, 3. 4, 1 became -1, 4. Then this one is the clockwise, 90 degrees clockwise. So 1, 3, notice they switched, but now the x value is the other one. So 1, 3 became 3, -1. 3, 4 became 4, -3. 4, 1 became 1, -4. Okay, now we're going to rotate. The last one is 180 degrees. Notice 1, 3 became -1, -3. 3, 4 became -3, -4. 4, 1 became -4, -1. So they didn't switch, both signs just changed to negative. And we're not going to necessarily have you memorize these. If these help you, and so you don't actually have to graph it, that's fine. But you can always use patty paper, and you can always use a graph and actually rotate it yourself. Okay, even if, say, you were on a state test, you could always just use the scratch paper that they give you, turn up the brightness on your computer, and graph it, and then actually rotate it. Alright, so let's do this one. Rotate the point -3, -2, 90 degrees clockwise to the new point. So I'm just going to do it in purple up here. So if I have the point -3, -2. So I have that point right there. And I'm going to get a new piece of patty paper. Oops, sorry. And this is my point. This is point A. Okay, and it says 90 degrees clockwise. So 90 degrees clockwise. Remember, a clock goes this direction, So if I'm going to go 90 degrees from down here, I'm going to rotate like that. So it would actually be at 3, -2. So it went to 3, or sorry, -2, 3. I was counting wrong. So -2, 3 is what we found using patty paper. But if we look at x, y, it will become y, -x. So you switch them, and then you change the value of the x. So, or the previous x. So it would be -2, and then -3. The opposite of a negative is a positive. So that's how you get that answer. If you were using rules. You do not have to use the rules though. You can always get graph paper and you can always just graph them yourself. Okay, example 2. You are going to do this one on your own, and then you're going to show me, and I'm going to stamp it or check mark it or whatever. Before I made copies of mine, I left it as the last paper. So make sure you mark that out, and it's rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise. So triangle ABC, point A is this, point B is this. What would be the coordinates of the new point? So rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise.